So let's say you've developed your own Ren'Py game and you're ready to ship it. But before you go to build distributions and click the little Windows, Mac, Linux for markets, you want to maybe put your files in an RPA archive to sort of obscure them from low-level snoopers. Well, how do you do that? First, you go into options.rpy, and we're going to create 5 RPA archives. One called scripts, one called images, music, movies, and voice. Now you can remove some of these, or you can add some based on your project. Or you could just have one archive called archive, and it'll work just as well. But first, we're going to list out the files that we want to exclude from built distributions. Now, most Ren'Py templates will have these right off the bat. So this excludes files that end in a tilde, .back, which are backup files. Anything that starts with a dot, usually that's something that should be excluded anyway. Anything that starts with a hash, and then thumbs.db. Now we're going to add to that list, and we're going to exclude uncompiled Ren'Py files, .rpe files. We don't want debug tools in the final product, right? We also want to exclude ren.py files, which are uncompiled Python files. We want to exclude save files. Usually Ren'Py does this by default, but we just want to be extra sure. And then we want to also exclude uncompiled rpym files. But we still want to include some files in these archives, right? So that's what the next section is. We're going to be including compiled Ren'Py files. We're going to be including .rpyb files, compiled rpym files, and then in the images archive, we're going to include PNGs, JPEGs with an E, and WebPs. In voice, we're going to go to the directory game/voice, and then we're going to include anything with a .ogg. Now, you would change this based on your project's needs. If all your voice files are MP3s, then, change this to MP3. If it's, .wav for some reason, change this to .wav. If you don't have a voice directory, if you call it, I don't know, voice lines or whatever, you would change this. Basically, this is searching inside the game directory, inside the voice directory, for any file that ends with .ogg. That's what this 1 asterisk means. That means that there is a file name. We don't know what the file name is, but it ends in .ogg. Here, there are 2 asterisks because this indicates we don't know what is between the game directory and this file. There could be multiple directories between the game directory and this file. We just want to search for all instances of WebP that are at least inside the game directory. So if there's another directory that's outside the game directory, it's not going to search there. It's only going to search within the game directory and then drill down until it finds a WebP, or all WebPs rather. And then the next one, movies, we want basically anything that ends with MP4, WebM, and MOV. And the final part is, this is also included in the Ren'Py project template, is that it'll classify any file in the base directory that ends with HTML or .txt as the documentation. So it will show it in the base directory when the game builds for the markets. So the end users will be able to open up the game directory and then see, readme.txt, for example, if you have that file. So this is how my project looks before it gets built and distributed. There's a bunch of RPY files. There's a bunch of RPYC files. If we go into the images folder, there's a bunch of PNGs. It keeps going down. If we go into audio, if I can find audio, here it is. Go into BGM, we can see there's a lot of OGG files. I think there's at least one WAV file in here. Well, maybe I converted them all to OGG. But we're going to go back to the Ren'Py SDK, and we are going to make sure that Windows, Mac, and Linux for Markets is checked, and we're going to force compile, and we're going to hit build. And it's going to scan the project, and this is going to take a while. And it finally finished, so we're going to open up that directory. It built the build in Ren'Py projects, the Meyer of Miss Audacity 1.0-dists. This directory is going to be different on your end. I mean, it might build in the documents folder. It might build somewhere else. You would have to configure that on your end. But we're going to open up this zip file, and we're going to go into the game directory. And we are going to see there is a images.rpa, there's movies.rpa, music.rpa, but what's this? There's a bunch of .rpyc files. What the heck is going on here? I thought I included all of those rpyc files in scripts. Oh no! If we look back here, there's an additional slash. You know what that means? It's only going to put the rpyc files into the archive that are in at least one extra directory inside the game directory. So that means it only put the rpyc files that were inside other folders. To remedy this, we're going to go back into options.rpy, and we're going to get rid of the slash, and we're going to get rid of that extra asterisk so that there's only 2 asterisks between the game slash. And we're going to save. So we're going to go back into the Ren'Py SDK, and we're going to go into build distributions, and we're going to hit build again, and I'll see you in 10 minutes. All right, we're back. So let's open this zip file again, and we're going to go into the game directory, and now we can see it looks much cleaner. There's images.rpa, movies.rpa, music.rpa. I don't have any voice acting yet, so there's not going to be voices. And then there's scripts.rpa. And if I try to open that, how do I open this? Fan view? No? Well, I tried. Putting your files in an RPA archive is not going to stop, 100% of the people. It's probably not even going to stop 80% of the people. But for contractual obligations, let's say that you're using some licensed tools or some other assets that you've licensed from other people, and they told you in order to have my assets in your game, you need to bundle it in an RPA archive. This is how you do it. There are some arguments for not archiving any files, games preservation, modding, the spirit of the open source community, but if you wanted to archive your files, this is how you do it. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. Happy developing, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much to the viewer who suggested this video topic. I'll see you all in the next one.